You're on camera, Ken.
Can you zoom in?
Can you see this all right?
Let me see. Let me zoom in a little bit.
Remember, we're doing this for...
Okay, I'm zooming in.
Can you see my grandmother's picture?
Yep, I got him zoomed in.
Can you see the picture?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that's me mother.
That's your mother?
Yeah. That's
What was her name?
Mabel Allen.
Mabel Allen.
Mabel Florence Allen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When was
Her
she
name
born?
is not on here. Why don't I put her name on the back of this?
When was she born? Yeah.
She was born on October the 8th of 1891.
Mm-hmm. Where was she born?
She was born in Aylmer, East Quebec.
Uh-huh.
Mabel.
And she lived quite a long time.
She lived 101 plus years.
Yeah.
She died on August the 26th, 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Mabel Florence Allen. Yeah. Now, let's see. This guy's name is George Simmons. He would be her uncle.
Let me get a zoom on that.
And he became a doctor. So that was Dr. George Simmons.
All right, I got him zoomed in.
You see, my mother's mother was a Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
So this was one of my mother's uncles,
Mm-hmm.
George Simmons. And this is Arthur Simmons. That's another uncle.
Let me zoom in on him.
Yeah.
Thank you, hon.
All right, I've got a good zoom on him.
These are written on the back. Now.
So that would have been on her mother's side.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I should just, by way of preface, say that it's, what is today, March the 9th?
This is March the 9th.
And it's 2005.
2005.
And it's Bev and me, John, and we're over with Bev's father, Ken, and he's got the chiffonier drawer out, going through it and telling us about the pictures that are in it. Now, who do we have here, Ken?
Well, this is Dr. Simmons again, long before he became a doctor, and it's got something written on the back here. I wish I were you, with nothing to do, with plenty of money and nothing to rue. And that's written on there by my Aunt Muriel Allen, my mother's sister. And this is Mrs. N. Burnt and Dr. Simmons. So this is somebody that I wouldn't know. In fact, I never knew either of these people. They were gone before I came along. But that was the Dr. Simmons again as a young boy, and the young lady became Mrs. N. Burnt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's written on the back of the picture for anybody that's looking at it later.
Aunt Muriel was a bit of a card, wasn't she?
Well, she never married. Now this goes to my father's side of the house. This is my uncle Wilmot Sigsworth.
Okay, I'm zooming in on him. Okay, we've got a good view of him.
My father's older brother.
Mm-hmm.
He never married. And I knew him. He died back in 1938 or 39.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
What happened to him, Dad?
I don't really know what it was. And this is my dad, Charlie Sigsworth, as a young man.
He also lived quite a long time, didn't he?
102 years. Yeah, he was born in 1891 and died in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
1983, sorry. At the age of 102 plus.
1881, wasn't it?
1881 to 1981.
Oh, yeah.
83.
Yeah.
83.
He was the one, wasn't he, that was in the bicycle accident, got hit by a bicycle?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Albert Sigsworth.
There's 100 years and a month between his birthday and Robin's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Robin was born May the 18th, 1981. So there's 100 years between them.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's just a bag that got in here by mistake.
That's just typical of this family. Never threw any of those bags out.
Your mother is typical. This is just a box containing a lot of my mother's stuff. I don't know. Let's pick out some
Laura
stuff.
Secord was a very famous Canadian heroine.
There's a leather bookmark that belonged to my mother. I'm not going to take all this stuff. Oh, there's an old-fashioned razor and a little pen knife.
That was your mother's also?
Yeah, it's in this box.
Everything in the box was.
Everything that, there's shoelaces never used. Wait now, let's see. Here's something down in here, an envelope. Mrs. Mabel Sigsworth from Hester Endicott, and it was mailed in 1991. Let's see if there's anything important in here. It's just with loving thoughts of you. Oh, it's got a whole letter. I'm not going to read that. Dear Mother, with warmest thoughts and wishes, this comes with love to say. You're specially remembered each and every day. All my love, Hester. And then there's a picture inside of my sister Hester and her husband, Gordon Endicott. And it was taken in November of 1990. Yeah, Gordon doesn't look too well there. And here's a picture of my sister Hester, taken at the same time.
She's the one who lives in Toronto.
Yeah. And then there's a letter here that's just a letter that she wrote to my mother on June the 2nd of 1991. We'll just put that back where it was there. And we'll see if there's anything else interesting in this box other than combs and needles and pins.
She was so organized.
Yeah, let's see, old razor blades.
The straws, that's how she drank her tea.
Well, those aren't so old if they're those instant razors.
Now here's a couple of pictures of my mother. Now this is taken out on the farm.
I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay, I've got it very good and close.
And it doesn't, I'm going to write on the back of it, it doesn't say what year, but you can tell by the car. That car in the back is a 1929 Pontiac. And I remember riding around in that car, and that's the west side of the house. That's where I was born. And I can just see the tail of the windmill up here in the corner.
You were born in that house?
I was born in that house. They didn't go to the hospital in those days. They had a nurse maid come in, and that's Mabel. Might as well do this as we go along.
And that was on the Petworth Road.
Yeah.
Out
Now,
around Hardington.
Petworth Road Farm. And that, I would say that must be approximate. My father bought that car for, I think he paid $750 for it, and it wore out somewhere. This is probably in the 1930s. That's all I can say. That's about as close as I can come to the date. 1930s. And there's another picture of her. What did I do? There it is. Now this is an earlier picture of her taken out in front of the same, I don't know, maybe it's not an earlier picture, but certainly it's, she's got her winter clothes on in that picture, and here she's out in front with the spirea bushes. I think this is probably about the same time. And she's got her hat on there, as if she's, there's an ivy that grows around that grew all around the veranda. This house, of course, is still standing out on the Petworth Road. And I'll put her name on that too. Mabel Florence. 1930s. Happy, this says healthy, happy womanhood. I'm not going to read this book. Let me see if it's autographed. No.
Autographed.
Yeah, anyway.
Anyway.
What else have we got in here? Just a bunch of stuff here that, ooh. There's other stuff in here. Maybe I will look into that. What's this? Weekly. These are dime savers, but no dimes.
Darn.
Yeah. They, yeah. Let me look into here. Why in the world would she keep that?
It's a piece of ribbon.
It meant something to my mother. It looks like something that might have been an address at one time. Now, there's some papers in here. The Salvation Army Red Shield appeared. Mr. C. Sigsworth Harrismith gave $2 on May the 12th, but unfortunately, the year isn't on it. And it was, well, it can't be that long ago because it's got a postal code on it. 218 Front Street, Belleville, Ontario, K8N5B2. So it's not that long ago.
When did the postal codes come in use here?
I don't know.
70s?
Yeah, 35 years. Now here's something. Mabel Sigsworth gave $5 to Aldersgate College. Now that was in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. It was a church college out there, and she used to send money out there to help with kids who couldn't afford their own tuition. Crippled Children's Easter Seal Fund, 1975, March the 21st. She gave $5. That. And World Gospel Mission, 31st of October, 1975, $10 to the Japan Missions, and it's signed by somebody by the name of Harry Smithson. Official receipt for income tax purposes. Evidently was never used for such. And what do we got here? You see, my father had his accident with the bicycle in 1978 or 76. So this would be close to it. Maybe this is why they were never used. Mrs. Mabel Sigsworth gave to Child Evangelism Fellowship, May the 20th, 1975, $5. Here's another one. Harrismith Free Methodist Church, $70.12. This is what they gave during a year, I would imagine. In 1976, that's getting pretty close to when he was hurt. And these are receipts that they've never used. December the 31st, 75, Sydenham Holiness Camp, $5. Mona Orser signed that. Here's another one. To Mr. Charles Sigsworth, Desert Lake Holiness Church, $3. Mrs. Mona Orser, 1975. Wonder if I sent them in now. Anyway, here's a December the 31st, 75. To donation to Westendorp Fire Fund, whatever that was, and it's signed by Jack Ellerbeck. Now, I know Jack Ellerbeck, but you wouldn't know Jack Ellerbeck. Mrs. Charlie Sigsworth, spelled L-E-Y, April the 29th, 1975, Evelyn Gowdy. $5 my mother gave to Canadian Cancer Society. Light and Life Camp, Glenvale, Ontario, and it hasn't been there since 1942. What? No, that's not right. No,
because
right.
I went.
No,
with her.
yeah, because this is 75. When did it
Yeah.
move? Oh, it started there in 42.
Because
That was
I
it.
went. I know as a kid, I
Yeah.
remember going with them.
Yeah, $8 she gave theirs.
It was off along Highway 38 somewhere, off the
Yeah.
beaten track.
$558 they gave to Harrismith Free Methodist Church, I imagine January the 31st, 1976, signed by Eileen Snyder, that's Irwin's wife. December the 31st, 76, these are all, they've saved these for the income tax and they've never used them. $3 to Sydenham Holiness Church, signed by Mona Orser again. She's been around a while, hasn't she? And Sydenham Holiness Camp, another $5, same year, Secretary Treasurer. So
This is on tape, you saying that.
Oh, who's going to worry? Who's going to worry? Anyway, I'll just put those. Oh, there's something else in there. Forrester House, Don Mills Road, Don Mills, Ontario. Mrs. Mabel Sigsworth, 17th of February 1975. They're all 196.30. Combined entitlement allocation. Effective the month of April 75. Yeah. All those things go in there. I'll put those back in there. Yep, that's probably what's happened. My dad's been hurt before they got around to using these.
Ken, tell me about the paper that you have that has King George's signature on it.
Oh, well, I'll have to get, that's a different kettle of worms there. That's not in these.
No,
drawers.
I'm not asking to see it.
Yeah,
Just
it
tell
was,
me what it is.
Well, we should do that when, okay.
Yeah, it's a land grant
Mhm.
made by King George III to the land where my great-grandfather started out in 1817
Mm-hmm.
or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's something else you'll have to look into.
Yeah, I mean we can get to that when we do it, maybe.
Yeah, it's in the trunk downstairs. Somebody told me that I really should have that appraised, you know, to go to one of these antique places, you know.
Or to a university or a
Yeah,
museum or
well,
something.
I did talk to George Henderson, who works at Queens. Worked, he's retired now. And he gave me the name of the person who I should talk to, and I never did. Now, here's some more pictures.
Let's see what we've got. I'm ready to zoom again.
This picture
Let's see.
is Howard Henderson.
Okay. I've got him
Now that's
close.
Clara Snook's older brother.
Okay, I've got him close up.
That is his Queen's graduation, I guess. And he went on to join the Army. I don't know whether this is before or after. He came back from service. But he joined the Army. He became a captain, I believe, and went overseas and came back. He lives at 1000 King Street West there in that big tower building there.
That's pretty nice.
King Street now. He went on into teaching, and he became a superintendent of education in up around St. Catharines or there. Oh, now who are these people? Oh, here we go. You see, here's a couple, but there's no indication that I know it's those. Oh, wait, there's something here. Flossie Moore. Now, don't ask me who Flossie Moore is, but there she is, and that's either her husband or it's on my mother's from down in Aile Maurice, Quebec. She's from down where my mother hailed from, Flossie Moore, and she's probably one of my mother's friends, and that's probably her husband there. Now, this is not too old a picture here. It's a picture of my mother. Looks like talking to the Easter Bunny. And I think my mother must have been about 100 then.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I've got it close up.
Yeah, and I don't know who took her to this place. Maybe, yeah, it looks to me as if the Easter Bunny visited the home over at Franklin Lake.
Yeah.
That looks about.
Looks like the sitting room, doesn't it?
Looks like the vintage there. Some of this stuff, I don't have a clue. You know, here she's got this all done up.
This is my grandmother that had
Yeah,
this.
Mm-hmm.
look at this. This is-
Fancy schmancy.
yeah, it meant something to my mother,
Yeah.
but of course it means nothing to me, really. And
Wow.
there's another one there. That looks like genuine silk
It
there.
does, doesn't it?
Anyway. I'm afraid I can't help you with came a little bit too late for some of this stuff. Yeah. I can hear her chuckling and saying, oh, well, now I know what that is. somebody or other gave that to me. There's nothing.
What's the name on the box?
The room. The room. A
My.
lot of this stuff probably came from Ottawa.
Yeah.
Now here's a box with some things in it. Now, this is probably a genuine Chinese flat fan, because she had a friend who was a missionary to China. Well, in fact, there were two sisters, Pearl and Bessie Reed. That's definitely a Chinese picture on there. There's nothing else on it. There's another one here. It probably have been gifts.
Wow. What's it say on?
Oh, this is the Parliament buildings in Ottawa.
Really?
Yeah. Can't you see them?
Souvenir of Canada.
I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Yeah.
It says souvenir of something.
Canada.
Souvenir
Yeah.
of Canada, yeah. And of course, that's where she was. That was her stomping ground down there. And here's one. Look at this one.
Wow.
She
Now, there was a time when those
seemed
fans
to
were
be a
very
collector
popular.
of fans.
Isn't it beautiful?
I don't. These predate me. I never saw my mother use these. She used a hymn book to fan herself.
Yeah.
These
Did
were-
you have those? Did you have those things here in Canada, and in churches in very hot weather, when there was no air conditioning? In the South, in the States, they had these fans that were always provided by the funeral home, and it was like a wooden stick and just a piece of thick paper cardboard, and everybody
Oh.
would sit in church,
Yeah,
fan
no,
themselves like that.
there's an old bank book, which starts out in February of 1938, and somebody had $166 in this bank. It was the Harrismith Bank, the Bank of Nova Scotia, which was robbed, by the way, at one time. There they went, they're building it up to 300. Oh, and they've even it even gives particulars. Hellstern. Now, Hellstern is the family name of Don Struther's mother-in-law. Hellstern, and there's Sigsworth, $30. Sigsworth, I have no idea. Hellstern, Gallagher, I don't really know. F. Sigsworth, F. Hellstern, Somerville.
That must
Oh,
have been
but
some money in those days.
I have a feeling, it's only a feeling, but this is about the time that Nancy Watson died. I think she died back in 1939. That this might be people who owed her money. And like there's a Mrs. Sigsworth.
What?
Somerville's.
What did Nancy Watson do?
She had quite a bit of money for those days. I mean, she died worth about $40,000, which would be worth $500,000 now easily.
Yeah.
And she used to, people would go to her and ask her for money, and she'd just shake hands on it. And my dad and Joe Watson became the executors of the estate, and they tried to get this money back because she'd write the name down and the amount of money, and that's all there was to it. And she carried this around her neck in a bag around her neck, and some of these people, they knew that she had never made them sign anything, so they never paid anything.
So what was she to Gamp?
There was a distant relationship. The Watsons and the Sigsworths were.
Mhm.
Dear Mabel Sigsworth, just take a look at the writing on this letter.
Let me zoom in a little bit.
Wow.
How often do you see a letter written like that
It's
these
beautiful.
days? And
Yeah.
I think they've even drawn that. Wait a minute. Slipped out of my hand there. They've even drawn this picture off to the left. Your left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been drawn on there with India ink, what we called India ink.
Mm-hmm.
It says, Miss Dear Mabel Sigsworth, I, now that's the I, would like to thank you for your generous gift. As I was opening my mailbox, I was worried about finances, but through you, the Lord provided as he said he would. I pray now that I will be worthy of this fine gift, and I pray that I will serve him to the best, to something kingdom of Christ. Keep you always. Mike Allen. And she spoke of Michael Allen, and she thought it was funny because she had a great-grandson by the name of Michael Allen Sigsworth. And this young fella's name out in that it's from Aldersgate College. There's his address on there. Aldersgate College, Box 460, Manitoba, or Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And it was mailed in Moose Jaw. It's hard to make the year out. The year, it doesn't show up, the date, but it's a 32-cent stamp. But I would say it would probably be back in the 60s. He doesn't put the date on it or anything, when she was donating out there. To that, let's see, what do we got here? Is there anything interesting? Fraser Armstrong Patient Center. There's Ontario Health Insurance card, Blue Cross certificate. More and more. This is her, well, this is Charles Sigsworth, official Canada card there.
Social insurance?
Social insurance.
No,
It's not social insurance. It was a card that everybody who received old age security would get. And this is Ontario Senior Citizens Privilege Card. I don't know what the privileges were. His phone was 372-2537. That was Harrismith. Yeah.
Wow.
Charles Sigsworth.
I wonder who's got that number now.
There's social insurance. That's
goodness.
my father's social insurance card.
What's the number on it?
440008423. And that's his social insurance number right there. And comb, my gracious. Look at the
Whoa.
safety pin. Blue Cross. What's in here? Just a bunch of paper clips. Oh, I know this. Now, can you zoom in on this?
Let's see. Okay, I got it.
Now this is a picture that I sketched of my father when he was in Anguanada Hospital after he broke his hip. I guess he was just lying there asleep, and I had this pad. It says on the back here, "Good morning, I must give you an enema for your bowels." You see, I didn't write that, the nurse wrote it because he couldn't hear. So she has written on this, and then I sketched his picture. He's obviously asleep.
That's really a good picture.
Yeah, and
I
now,
could hear him going, no,
now,
no.
Mrs. Arthur Dagg, 400 Burr Oak Road, Burr Oak, Michigan. This was mailed in 1988 to her sister Mabel, my mother, and
That's from Aunt Pearl, right?
that's from Aunt Pearl. There's a birthday card. What does it say? This is well, that wouldn't be. Well, this is Irwin and Eileen. She's just stuffed a few of these things in here. A little late for your birthday, this one says. That comes from Carolyn Dio. You know who she is. And I'm glad you're my sister. This is from Pearl Dagg. So that's a card from Barb's sister who lived in Burr Oak, Michigan. Which,
Mabel's sister.
yeah, what did I say?
Barb.
Oh yeah, my mother's Mabel's sister, who lived in Michigan. That's not too far from Chicago. We visited there.
I remember going there.
Yeah. Oh, we were there a couple times. And there's something else in here. What else have we got? This is from Michael.
Michael.
This
I
is from
recognize his
Michael.
writing.
Mabel Sigsworth, Kenneth Sigsworth. It was mailed in 1998.
Living in Calgary.
1998? He wasn't there in 98.
Well, look at the
80.
back.
Yeah, I know, but 37-cent stamp. 98. He was married. No, Yeah, well, of course, yeah, they were.
Oh, yeah, because they were
living.
married in,
Yeah, they were married in '86.
so it must be 88.
Yeah, it must be '88. What's in there?
Because they've been living in Cobden.
Yeah, we'd better see what this letter says. He writes to his grandmother. Dear Gam, October the 9th, '88. How are you? We are all fine back here, or I should say out here in Calgary. In Canada, you go out west and go back east, haha. Well, Derek is growing at a substantial rate, and he is babbling incomprehensibly right at the moment. Wait till he can talk. We won't be able to keep him quiet, that's right. We took a whole bunch of pictures lately, and they are being processed right now, and we will send some when we get them back. Oh yes, happy belated birthday from all of us out west. I suppose after 96 previous birthdays, it doesn't seem like much anymore. I'm starting to feel that way about mine, and I'm only 27, I think. See? We heard you had a nice little party at the homestead. I hope you all enjoyed yourself. Well, it's been beautiful out here in Calgary, on average of 22 Celsius every day and sunny. It cools down quite a bit at night though. I've got an extra job now at night, well, 2 nights a week. I referee broom ball games and make $20 a game, and there are 2 games on those nights, so I make an extra $80 a week, free and clear. I will get my Federation officials card soon, and I could referee more games and charge more too for my services. I could travel a lot too because of this. Maurice is knitting for this store in our building and making some extra money also. She's getting really good at it too. Well, we hope to be going to Goose Bay for Christmas, but Ward Airlines is getting a whole lot of new airplanes, and all of the pilots that fly them, the military planes, are getting out. Well, they're all going to try to get jobs there, and therefore the military flights are iffy right now. So we are just waiting to hear. We will be in Sydenham anyway around the 27th of December to see all of you people. It's our 2nd anniversary also. Well, why should this year be any different? We never depend on anything until we are on the plane and at 30,000 feet. Well, there's not too much more news from here, but when we get those pictures back, we will send another letter with them. So goodbye for now from Cowtown. All our love, Maurice, Michael, and Derek. I hope you have seen the latest video we made. I never did find out if Dad got my money order. He called himself Michael in those days.
Imagine that.
1988.
We saw videos when we were up in Pembroke
Yeah.
of the Christmas that they came to Goose Bay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was something to see little Derek running, well, crawling around on the floor.
Yeah. Now, what's this? This is a local preacher's license. This certifies that Charles Sigsworth is authorized to officiate as a local preacher in the Free Methodist Church for 1 year, provided his spirit and practice are such as become the gospel of Christ, and his teachings correspond with the established doctrines of the Holy Scriptures as held by said church. By order of the Quarterly Conference of the Kingston District Eastern Ontario Conference, done at the Light and Life Camp this 9th day of July, 1966.
Let's see.
That's a local preacher's license.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be renewed every year, and it looks like he renewed it quite often because look, there's a whole pile of it. What's this? Here's one that goes to 69. And here's one 1970. And 71. And 72.
He did renew it a lot.
And 74.
Oh, he took a year off.
Yeah, or they fired him. Now, some cards. Our birthday wish for you, Dad. Hester and Gordon, 1980. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, that's 25 years ago.
And here's Happy Easter, Father. Happy Easter from Barbara Ken and Charles A. 1980. The rabbit on the front.
Was he still living here?
Hmm?
Charles A. Was he living at home?
Yeah, well, he was in 1980. That was a bad year, I think, right about